I'll wait till you're done drinking.
I'm glad I have a drink in here always because I get a fucking dry spot from just like going.
Yeah, that's what
Always.
she said. Yeah, you get a dry spot. You gotta lube that thing up. Welcome back to Bed Haven, the safe place for safe plays. We just ran our Thursday night showdown show for the Jets-Patriots game. If you haven't seen that yet, go straight over that to
Go watch it.
right away. Yeah, we wanted to cap that and kind of just isolate that show a little bit so we could talk about Thursday or the Sunday night games for this show specifically. So, all the usual stuff. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, like the show, rate the show if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And if you're new to sports betting, make sure you check out the link in the description of this video. You can get access to all the deposit matches and bonus bets across various sports books. Boom, there it is. There's the intro.
Yep, and even maybe Daniel's sneaky link. So maybe make sure you guys check it out and subscribe.
What if we do
No. All right. Anyways, so last week on DraftKings, how was your week? Were you profitable or no?
I had a good Sunday and a bad Monday.
Okay.
So I basically it was a wash.
I was the other way. I had a not so good Sunday, good Monday.
Yeah, I was
Great Saturday. College football is where it's at for me at this point. I mean,
speaking of which, you got any just quick little
yeah.
just throw them out there real quick.
All right. NC State plus 21 against Clemson. Oh, God,
here we go again.
I think that number is insane. It's insane. In the offseason, this number was 3.5. So
listen, people are already calling you biased because
I know.
You're going to do it again.
Baylor over Colorado. Shedeur Sanders in his offensive line in the post-game press conference, all lining up behind him. It's all for show. It's insane. That team is not very good. The Colorado State team that they beat is actually terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, well, Baylor. Why did you have me take Colorado State money line then?
Because I knew they had a chance. They had a chance because of all the drama and crap that's going on in Colorado. But it turns out they're actually terrible. So Baylor. And then one more is Florida State. Florida State money line over Cal. I know Florida State's 0-3 and has looked terrible, but there's no way they go 0-4. There's no way. This Cal team is not very good. They're not going 0-4. I don't care if they play DJU or if they go to the backup. Florida State money line. That's it.
There it is. There's the college Saturday college picks. Oh, those are all Saturday games, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
All right. NFL Week 3 Sunday slate. We've already talked about the Patriots at the Jets. If you haven't seen that video, just bounce right over to it. It's a lot shorter than this one's going to be, and maybe you'll get a good idea of what we think is going to happen in that game.
Love the showdown slate. I'm a big fan of showdown. I think that you have the best chance to win big in a showdown versus the NFL. Make sure if this is my personal opinion, but make sure that you're playing early only and afternoon only on the NFL slate. I think it really increases your odds. It's not so much information that these guys that you're going against are plugging into a computer and it's spitting out all these different lineups instead of you literally hand building with your tiny peanut brain. So it makes it a lot easier for those guys to take your money. So
yeah, if you're not running an optimizer.
Condense it.
Yeah.
Do 3 max single entries early only. You drop down to like 8 or 10 games instead of having to worry about 14, 15, whatever games. Do that. Your chances increase.
All right. First game on the Sunday slate that I'm looking at is the Denver Broncos at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
The Fighting Baker Mayfields are, they took my money. I had Lions covered up left, down, and right. And it didn't matter. Dan Campbell and his awful time management. I already went over this in the other video, but what the hell are they doing? Goff throwing 2 picks. I don't know, man.
He looks a little uncomfortable to me, but
yeah. Anyways, you got Buccaneers minus 3.5 here is what it opened at, but the people are saying that's not enough. We're now up to 7 at some books, 6.5 at most. Total currently sitting at 39.5, and some books have 40. Pretty low total against the Broncos here. Broncos not looking so hot. I love the interview with Bo Nix afterwards. They said, what happened with the interception there? And he said, I threw it to the wrong team. Next question.
I mean, what do you expect him to say there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't really have much from this game. I don't think that this is a game I'm really looking to target. I did talk about last week with I like the Lions obviously a ton, and I did want to run it back with Godwin. Well, it turns out that Godwin ended up being a great play.
Mm-hmm.
The Lions guys, not as much, although St. Brown ended up getting a ton of work like I thought he would. Just did not score a touchdown, unfortunately.
He's also dealing with a knee injury, apparently. So.
He is now, a little iffy, which is not good this early in the season. You hate to see guys injured, which there are a lot of guys injured, which we'll get into as we get to those games that those guys are in. But yeah, what about you? You like much for this game, or what are you thinking?
I mean, honestly, like looking at opportunity, really, mostly for plus money, I would take some action on the Broncos here, at least to cover at the 6.5 number, just because you're looking at a Bucs team who's beat the Washington Commanders, and then sort of I'd call it a fluky win over the Lions. Like you said, poor time management from Dan Campbell. Like they could have very, very easily lost that game. And the Lions just haven't looked like the Lions to me. But yeah, I if anything, I don't love a ton from this game, but if I was going to take anything, I'd maybe take the plus 6.5 for the Broncos.
Okay, so you like more of a bet than an actual.
Yeah, I don't really
play.
I don't see a ton of fantasy. You got, I think Rachaad White maybe is also hurt for the Bucs.
Yeah, Rachaad White, questionable groin injury during the game.
Yeah,
not considered to be major. So
I think he left and then came back into the game and then left the game again.
I guess you could say potentially if he's out, look at Bucky Irving.
Yeah, I do think Bucky Irving maybe could be a nice play this week.
5,100. So keep an eye on that. If White is out, that could be a potentially.
I would say even if he's not out, we see groin injuries have more of like a nagging presence, especially in running backs, than almost any other injury. It feels like outside of like a hamstring, but. I would play Bucky Irving. I probably won't get there just because I don't love the game. I don't know if what'd you say the total was?
43.
Yeah, I mean it's not.
Oh, I think it maybe opened. I say open at 43. Yes, open at 43 down to 40.
Yeah, so obviously people are betting the under here. If we're not expecting a shootout, then I wouldn't be touching it.
Yeah, for me it'll just be Irving if White is out, just because I like cheap running backs who are getting, almost 100% of the work because the starter's out. I don't care if the ownership is going to be crazy on that. Godwin's and Evans are a no-go for me. They're still priced pretty high, both coming off of respectable games. But yeah, it's not much for me.
All right, next game on the list is Houston at Minnesota.
Houston at Minnesota. Texans are currently favored by 2. It opened at 4.5, and the total is currently sitting at 46. This one's kind of sneaky. We're gonna need to wait and hear about Justin Jefferson.
What's up with him?
A little bit of
was it sternum, chest,
quadriceps.
So completely different part of the body.
Yeah, it's quadriceps. Apparently he was able to go through walkthrough practice on today, which is, we're filming this on Wednesday. So he's day to day. Apparently it's a bruise. So we'll see. I would think that he's probably going to play.
A bruise.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see. Another injury news from this game. Joe Mixon was not at practice today for the Texans. His injury, I don't know if you saw, looked pretty bad.
Was it a high ankle sprain?
Yes, it looked like ankle. It was a classic, what do they call it? Hip drop tackle.
Yep.
Where the guys kind of grab him and pull him back towards you. Ankles, knees, everything gets caught up under the dude's body. You're twisting them wrong. NFL's trying to get that tackle out of the game, but it's so hard. I mean, these guys' job is to get running backs and wide receivers on the ground as fast as possible. And if you're kind of chasing from behind, that's kind of your best course of action. Otherwise, they're going to fall forward every time. So if they fall forward, and they're 6 feet tall, that's an extra 2 yards right there. So kind of a tough one. Was not called in the game. It was not a flag or anything. Mixon went out. But yeah, so potentially if Mixon is out, there's a play there.
Who's their backup?
They got a couple. Damian Pierce.
Wasn't he injured to begin the season?
He was injured. Yeah, he was injured. He is also not spotted at Wednesday's practice. Their other backup, Ugunbowale. Yeah, Dare Ugunbowale.
I'm not laughing at his name.
You're not.
I'm laughing at the way.
2 carries, 3 yards, 2 catches, 20 yards.
2 carries and 2 catches. Is that what you said?
Yeah, they also have Cam Akers. Cam Akers is another potential back. He actually saw some work in that game, I believe. Let me pull
Probably
that
when
up.
Mixon went out.
Yes, Cam Akers, 4,700. Ended up carrying it for 7 times. So he's likely to be the guy that's going to get the work here if Pierce is out and if Mixon's out. 4,700. I think that sounds juicy. What do you say?
I've fallen into
4,700.
I've fallen into that Cam Akers trap.
I agree, and he is very random. But if he's going to get 80% of the work at 4,700 against the Vikings with a total that's sitting at the number that's sitting at, I think that's potentially a play.
It will truly depend on ownership, what I think his ownership will be. But yeah,
if both those guys are out, I don't give a damn what the ownership is.
Yeah, I guess it's sort of the same thing as the Mason play. He might have been like this exact price, 47, and then went to 52 the next game. So, maybe. Like I said, the Cam Akers, I've been there before, and I don't know if this is the place I want to go again. But I do like this game. I think it could be fun to watch, honestly.
Yeah, I think you're getting 2 teams here that are.
You got Sam Darnold he's on his revenge tour.
We talked about it last week that we both agreed that we thought that the Vikings were actually a legit football team, and they continue to look like a legit football team, beating the 49ers when not many people thought that was going to happen. I understand that the 49ers aren't exactly 100% strength, but still, it's still the 49ers, and it's still a Vikings team that not many people had faith in.
With Sam Darnold at the quarterback.
Yeah, so for me, I think that this game is a potential target. I didn't call out the weather on this one. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's a dome.
It's a dome. Yep.
The old road dome game for the Texans. I don't know.
Wait, is that back-to-back weeks that the Texans are in a dome? Because I remember I said something about Deshaun Watson still wishes he was there because he could be. No, they were dome first week.
They were home dome.
Home dome.
Yeah. So they're used to playing.
A lot of dome could be going Deshaun Watson's way.
At home and on the road.
All right.
So for me, just to recap, Akers, if Mixon and Pierce are out, and keep an eye on Jefferson, potentially a Jefferson Darnold stack, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite of the week. And it looks like Jefferson will play, but keep an eye on that.
Who do you expect to win this game? Because that would answer.
I expect
game script,
the Texans to win.
So then you would play a lot of Akers.
Potentially if he's catching a lot of, well, yes, probably. Well, for sure, if I'm playing Akers, regardless of who I think is winning this game, if Mixon and Pierce are out, I will always play the backup running back when the starter is out and his price has not increased through the roof. I will always do that. I do not care about ownership. It ends up being the correct play 90% of the time because it allows you to get to so much better stacks as far as quarterback receiver go in potentially different games.
If you thought that the Vikings could lead this game for the majority of it, you could play Ogunbowale. He had two receptions for 20 yards. I mean, it's like you said, second second down or second back, pass catching back. Same sort of game theory
Potentially,
there.
and he is the pass catching back for this team, especially when those other guys are hurt. But it still doesn't make any sense though, because you're getting Akers at 4,700, you're getting Ugambawale at 4,500, you're getting a $200 discount.
Yeah.
It'd be something if it was like worthwhile, but for me, regardless of game script, I'll take the guy that I think is going to get
The majority of the work.
potentially 80% of the touches if those other guys in front of him are hurt, which is a big if, and we will see. So definitely that is a game to keep your eye on as far as injury news goes, because there are points to be had in that game.
Yeah. All right, next game is the Los Angeles Chargers at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Los Angeles Chargers, Steelers open up as a 3-point favorite, down to 1.5-point favorite. Total currently sitting at 36. That's low. Man, probably for good reason.
Is Justin Herbert? Is he on the injury report? Because I know he was questionable.
Let's see what the latest is on Herbert. Yeah, got a questionable tag. Did not practice today, which is Wednesday. News being reported that he had a significant limp after their game against the Panthers, but he didn't miss any snaps. Something to keep your eye on. You don't really get much info from that right there. But regardless, this is not a quarterback game that I want to attack anyways. This is not something that I think that there's a big potential for points here. I mean, 36 points. Let's check the weather. We might have some weather news here, being that it's outdoor game in Pittsburgh. No weather. Slight chance of rain showers, but yeah, not much wind. Again, check this Sunday morning, but as of right now, no weather concerns. But regardless, not a game I want to target. I don't think either one of these teams are that good, if I'm being honest. That's kind of how I have both of these teams rated. I have both these teams rated as a below 500 team. You have either one of these teams being potentially good. I know that some people are on the hype train for both these teams. Both these teams are kind of like, riding highs. They're both, better in a lot of people's eyes than they should be.
I've been a believer in Justin Fields for a little while, so okay. I think that's where. But I don't think, I still don't think that he's gonna take him to the playoffs.
In my opinion, these are probably the two worst 2-0 teams remaining.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. I mean, regardless of what you think, quarterback-wise, just looking at the two games that the Steelers have played, 13-6 against the Broncos, they won, and 18-10 versus the Falcons. The Steelers' D is clearly pretty legit. They've had a combined total 16 points scored on them in 2 weeks. So
it's really good coaching too. It tells me that they're really managing the clock. They're really managing the game. They know what they have as far as what their offense is. Fields has taken off and running. He ran 8 times in the last game, 27 yards.
I think he might run for quite a bit this game.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are such a well-coached team. I mean, they know what they have. I mean, look at this. They ran it 36 times against the Broncos. They know that their best chance of winning football games is 18-10. Yeah. It is 13-6. It's not 30-27. They know that's not what they have. So, Justin Fields is being a game manager. Don't turn the ball over. Run it if there's nothing. And they're doing a great job of it so far. I mean, he is, he's 13 for 20 for 117 yards in his last game. 1 touchdown. Ran it 8 times, 27 yards. As a team, they ran it 36 times for 141 yards. Longest completion of the game was 16 yards to Pickens. And Pickens only caught the ball twice. I mean, from a DFS standpoint, I don't think that there's much here on either side.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
all right. We got Philadelphia at New Orleans.
Philly at New Orleans. We just saw Philly lose a heartbreaker.
heartbreaker.
If you haven't seen the TikTok that you sent me, that is hilarious.
That's one of the funniest TikToks I've ever
It's got a
seen.
ton of views. So if you're a NFL guy, I'm sure it's somehow found its way to you. But
Take your shoelaces, man.
it's so funny. That dude is down bad.
He put his whole paycheck on.
You know,
he
put way more than he had on that game.
Yep.
But Kirk Cousins, man, Kirk Cousins. I could get it if it was Pat, but it's Kirk Cousins, man. Y'all supposed to be professionals.
Oh,
Yeah, that guy's down
I wish
bad.
I could just add that to this clip and add it, but it's all good.
That guy's down bad. All right. So yeah, we got the Eagles coming off a heartbreaking loss. Suck it, Philly. And we've got the Saints who beat the shit out of my Cowboys. Yeah, I don't know. I hope they both lose. Saints.
Can they do that?
Saints are a 3-point favorite.
Yeah, they opened at 3. I'm seeing
In
2.5.
In New Orleans, but still.
Yeah.
I don't know. That doesn't seem right.
It's because they're putting up points. Like, they're putting up a massive amount of points.
We got a big total here sitting at 49.5. I got to be honest. My immediate read on this game is a bet, and it's
Philly in the under.
It's Philly in the under.
Yeah.
I don't see this game going as crazy as people might think it would.
I mean, they scored 47 on the Panthers and then 44 on the Cowboys the very next week. So it's like, I see where the books are getting this from, but I think most people are agreeing that that's sort of probably a bit of an overreaction. But
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. I think the Eagles. The
it's
Eagles
in New Orleans, right?
Yeah, the Eagles won that game. Like they did, but they didn't. Because Saquon doesn't catch the pass. Sirianni's an asshole, but he was a good. It was a good decision to pass the ball on third down. The play was run to perfection other than Saquon dropping the ball. I mean, he called the perfect play to ice that game. In the NFL, you have to go win football games. You can't just play conservative and hope that the other team doesn't beat you, because they will. They're highly paid professionals on the other side. They will beat you eventually. So I think it was the right call on third down. He dumps it off to Saquon, and Saquon just flat out drops it. And then old Kirk Cousins goes the length of the field in like 40 seconds and scores. That was kind of shocking. I think the Eagles are the play here. As far as a DraftKings play goes, let's dive into potentially AJ Brown is a big question mark. Looking like he is. Wow. Yeah, he's going to be doubtful. It's looking like
yeah, they said I think
expected to miss a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think I saw 4 weeks initially.
That is a huge blow. Probably part of the reason for the number shifting, obviously. I still don't know if that's enough, though. You got the old dome game here in the Superdome. Let's dive into the numbers here. Devontae had a pretty good game. I obviously played Showdown in that Falcons Philly game, and I had Devontae at captain a bunch, and he was a pretty good play. I don't know if he was on the winning team, but he was a profitable play. I had him and ended up getting some money back. Yeah, Dodson's terrible apparently. He's just out there for no reason.
But the Eagles,
the damn Covey kid might be the play.
Yeah.
3,200, and how many times did they run that damn wide receiver screen that went for 2 yards to him? They did it a ton of time. I think he ended up 6 catches? Yeah, 6 targets, 6 catches, 23 yards.
Oh, he caught every single target?
Yeah, because every time it was from me to you. He'd just sling it over there, and he'd catch it and run 2 yards and get tackled.
Hang on.
Yeah, he'd be like, here, man. That was it. Done. But
right.
that converts into points in PPR, which is what DraftKings is. So
do you like a Hurts stack this week then? I mean, if you think the under,
I think it might be like a Saquon revenge game. Not revenge as in like he played for the team, but revenge as in like he could resurrect for losing the game.
Yeah,
quote unquote. He didn't lose the game because he actually had a pretty good game, but in the eyes of the scum Philly fans, he lost the game. I mean, they're booing him off the field, which is just
but they're so ridiculous.
Philly booed. I don't know if you heard it. If you heard it, Philly booed their team after on their first possession, They didn't get a first down, and so they had to punt. Philly booed them. It's like the game just started, people.
Yeah,
The game just started. They're punting, and you're booing them.
They're extra over there.
Oh my God, they're the Philly and Buffalo, dude. They're the worst fans in the world. I'm telling you.
All right. Well,
Across the board, even like hockey. I've gone to hockey games where Sabres fans and Flyers fans are just disgusting. They're terrible people.
I could get on board with like a Philly stack, little sneaky Philly stack, run it back. God, Rashid Shaheed is still priced at 5,300. Touchdown in each game. I mean, he's catching bombs. Interesting. I think I'd run it back with Olave. I still like Olave's profile a bit more than Rashid Shaheed, and at some point, the target share is going to go up for him. I just know it will.
This is an expensive game. Like if you
want to stack it,
and
then
the Philly side,
maybe
it's expensive.
Maybe that kind of gets you to a point where other people won't be.
Maybe it's a Goddard game. 4,600. He did not play his best.
I
didn't get as
him.
much, but he didn't get as much work as we probably would have expected. 5 targets in the first game, 4 targets in the second game. He's averaging 3.5 catches for 35 yards through 2 games. I just believe he's got to be more involved in this offense, right? Especially with AJ Brown gone.
First week,
he's got to be.
First week, I did a 4-man parlay for 4 guys to have over 40 yards receiving. Goddard was one of them. He had 31. So he burned me week 1, and he was the only person in that parlay to miss. Second week, I had him in 5 captain spots out of 20 lineups. And I had mostly it was like split between Devontae Smith and Bijan. And then Goddard in the captain spot was just a waste of 5 teams. So
I had him on one of mine.
I don't know. Maybe. But if you stack this game, I feel like you're going to be, if you can make it work and get the right cheap pieces from other games, like throw in Akers in the running back spot, like that's already a way to get into a cheaper slot there.
I think I'll potentially stack this game. Maybe like a weird stack though. Maybe like Hurts, Saquon, Goddard, and then run it back on the other side with either Olave.
That's literally what I have right now. Hurts, Saquon, Goddard, Olave, and then I'll fill out the cheap pieces elsewhere.
Yeah, and if you don't go Olave, you could go Kamara, but again, Kamara's very expensive. Only targeted 3 times against Cowboys, but there's a reason for that. They were winning. There was no reason to force the ball. So in this game theory, they're losing. They're playing from behind. They're going to have to throw it to Kamara. But we'll see. But yeah, that would probably be my stack. I would lean Philly, spend the money, but go cheap with Goddard because I believe that Goddard is going to have to be more involved in this offense than he has been.
At some point.
Yeah, there's no way that this continues, especially with AJ Brown being out. So that's what I would lean for this game. Not much love for the Saints side, honestly. I don't know. Me personally, I don't see much on the Saints side.
Would you trade Dak Prescott for Derek Carr right now?
Hell no.
You should, man. He's got way better stats.
I'd trade their owner and GM for Jerry Jones.
Bet you would. I bet you would. I think most people would.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Green Bay at Tennessee.
Green Bay at Tennessee. Line opened up. This was probably a while ago. It was probably a look-ahead line, but it was Packers 3.5. We're down to Titans now favored by 1.5, depending on which book you're at. Total at 38.
A lot of 30 totals so far.
Yes.
We talked about.
Check the weather real quick. Which game are we on? Should be fine. Should be good weather. Partly cloudy. No issues. For me, I've been going kind of. I called the Packers game correctly, but I had it in a parlay, so unfortunately I lost. But I did think that the Packers were in a good spot there against the Colts. I think the Colts are such a up and down football team. We're going to see good weeks and bad weeks from them. And I felt like the Packers weren't, although obviously Love was gone, I felt like they could. They're so well coached. I felt like they could somehow sneak that out, and they did. They played a low scoring game. Again, when you know that you can't win a 30-27 ball game and you have a good coach, he will milk the clock. He'll run the football. He'll wear you down. And that's exactly what the Packers did. Josh Jacobs carried it for 32 times for 151 yards. Malik Willis is, you can be a game manager in the NFL if you have a great defense and pieces around you. And that's exactly what the Packers did against the Colts. Richardson had one of his bad games that we know he's going to have, chucking it all across the yard through 3 picks. But I think it's the Titans this week.
Yeah, I expect some Malik Willis pickage.
The Titans are 0-2, and they could easily be 2-0.
Yeah, I expect Malik Willis. If there's a bet out there for him to throw more than 2 picks.
We need Will Levis to turn into a game manager and stop giving the game away.
He does some really stupid things.
He keeps doing too much.
Yeah.
Like, you have a really good defense behind you. You have great pieces around you. Just chill, man. Just stop trying to do too much and eat the sack. Throw the ball away. Run it if there's nothing there in front of you. He's got such a good team around him. If you go up and down this roster and you're just like, geez, this team is a good football team.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just needs to chill.
Yeah. And I expect it to go that way this game.
Yes. I think that I like the Titans here. Again, though, I don't see it being, I don't know if it's a great DFS game. Because like I said, the Packers are so well coached. They're going to try the same, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to run the ball again a ton.
I think maybe the Titans D I would be interested in. If
potentially, the only problem I have with it is I just don't know that Willis chucks it a bunch. Maybe you get some sort of weird fumble recovery to the house, but I think pick 6, is a reach if the guy's only going to throw 14 times.
Is that what he threw at last game?
He was 12 for 14 for 122 yards. So, you get 14 chances to pick him off, and a lot of those were dump offs.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. For me, DFS-wise, I don't think it's a great game. Betting-wise, though, I do think that you could play Titans money line.
All right. I like it. Let's see. We got the New York Giants at the Cleveland Browns next.
Gross.
Opened at 6.5, -6.5 in favor of Cleveland. Looks like it's still at that spot. So,
yeah, -6.5 for Cleveland. Total is at 38.5. Game in Cleveland.
Just so many low scoring games.
Yeah. Slight chance of rain showers. Yeah, shouldn't see any rain. Windy-ish. 13-mile-per-hour gusts. Nothing to be too concerned about. Make sure you check that weather forecast before kickoff. Man, for me,
I picked the Browns last week.
Oh yeah, for me this is nothing. This is a no bet, and this is no DFS. Do we even have like any potential injury, like cheap play?
Tank Bigsby, the backup running back for the Jaguars, got hurt on special teams, which could potentially just increase Etienne's workload more so than it already is. So
well, that's a different game. So wake up.
Oh yeah, I just talked about the Jaguars. So
no, there's no. We've got Chubb still out, obviously. Njoku.
Oh yeah, what's up with? Is he still out?
He didn't play last week.
Yeah.
He also didn't practice today, so he's still potentially out.
What about
there's
what about
really
Graham Gano?
Yeah.
any Graham Gano news?
Yeah. There's nothing here for me. I don't really have much to talk about. I don't like the game as far as a bet because I don't trust either one of these teams, and
both bad.
DFS wise, I don't trust either one of them to go off. So this will be nothing for me.
All right, let's go to the next game then, because I agree. We got Chicago at Indianapolis.
Chicago at Indy. Colts currently favored by 1, and the total is sitting at 43.5. This will be the old dome game in Indianapolis. Man, this is these is two teams that have a quarterback that is just
you don't know.
You just don't know. Caleb Williams, he almost did like the opposite of Will Levis in the game the other night, where I almost didn't think he was doing enough. Like what made him spectacular at USC was like the run around crazy plays where he'll run around and fire it, 30 yards downfield and score a touchdown. It almost looked like he was like told like, hey man, you got a good defense. Just game manage this crap and we'll win. And he game managed it actually pretty well, but he just did nothing. He did nothing great. There was so many times I remember watching the game where he would break the pocket or he'd step up in the pocket and he'd have like some running room in front of him. And I'm like, dude, go pick up 5, go make a guy miss, pick up 15. If you make a man miss, he refused to do it. Clearly they got in his ear, like manage the game. Don't do anything stupid. Don't get hurt. And he didn't wow me at all. Then I'm sure you saw the handshake afterwards with Stroud.
Mm-hmm.
Stroud trying to tell him, like, hey, young buck.
I've seen it all over Twitter.
Hey, young buck, here's what you need to do. And he just clearly he's like in his head, he's like, dude, I'm better than you, so I don't even want to hear you say anything to me.
Is he better than him though?
No, currently he's not. Stroud actually looks pretty solid. He looks mature. He's not making any mistakes. Stroud didn't even run, but he knows that he doesn't have to. He also has a great team around him. The Texans are another team that is loaded and has a pretty good defense too. Caleb Williams ends up throwing a couple picks.
Yeah, I saw one of the picks and it was like, I feel like it could have gone the other way. He's like kind of scrambling and then it was a couple yards short, maybe a yard or two short, and then
he only had he had one good run, but everything else was like it was fine.
I think you're right. I think they've kind of like
there's no wow factor, and the reason you were the number one pick is because of the wow factor. So go out there and do something spectacular. I don't need you to. I mean, he threw 37 times for 174 yards. He completed 23 passes for 174 yards. That tells me that so much of the offense was just dump off. And he had a couple of bad misses. DJ Moore was like visibly like, this is my quarterback. This is my guy. Because if so, we're screwed. He had a couple where there was one specifically where I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but he was going up the sideline and he had actually pinned the corner on his right shoulder. And obviously he had given Williams 5 yards to the left between him and out of bounds on that long, it was like a big, like 15, 20 yard out route. He had given him 5 yards of sideline to put the ball in, and Caleb threw it 5 yards out of bounds. So he missed by 10 yards. He was just like, what are you doing? And DJ Moore, like, I think it was third down, probably. DJ Moore, like, literally just walked off, undid his helmet, and was just like, this is unbelievable. Like, tossed his helmet to the ground. Like, this dude is not it. And I kind of agreed. I was like, yeah, he's maybe not.
It's early.
For me, man. And then the Colts. So that's enough about the Bears. Now you got to go to the Colts side. Richardson, he played terrible, but we kind of know that's what he does. Going back home, dome game. He gets. I think he could go off again. There's nothing that tells me he shouldn't. I mean, the Bears D looked pretty good, but do you stack? You like a little Colt stack here?
You could be different.
Josh Downs is he's back.
That's official.
Yep, practice in full today. Looks like he's gonna be good to go. 4,700. Might be a play there. Pittman through 2 games has done nothing. I don't know if that means he's due.
Yeah, he's hit the targets. I mean,
targets are there. It could be a spike game for Pittman.
Yeah, that could be kind of a sneaky stack. Let's just go ahead and go Richardson, Pittman. Just kind of go back to that well.
Yeah, Keenan Allen is on the sideline chewing sunflower seeds, looking like he's the damn old head wide receiver coach over there talking to the guys. Hey, you gotta lean on him. He I don't know what he's doing over there. He's washed. He got that free money. He's questionable. Yeah, did not participate in practice. Just I don't know. There's nothing there that's exciting. Potentially for me a Colt stack. Richardson. Give me Richardson and give me Pittman.
Okay. But that's a pretty cheap stack too, for the most part.
Yeah, not gonna break the bank there.
All right. And you said you think that Colts are gonna win?
Yes.
Yeah, I expect them to do the same. All right, let's go Miami at Seattle. Back to our Seattle squad. You got any DK Metcalf 56-yard touchdown predictions?
No, not for this game. It could happen again, but not for this game. Seahawks fair by 4.5. Obviously, Tua with a headache.
Easy guy.
And 41.5. Tua has been announced he is on IR. Yeah, that was tough to watch. He can't take a hit now. He can't take a hit without it being bad.
I think he's done. I think he was walking off the field and he was just kind of looking around all parts of the stadium, and I think it was just like the realization.
Yeah, he was looking at the 4 Tweety birds flying around his head is what he was looking at. I don't know. What's the total? 41.5.
What's that part of Space Jam?
Yeah,
I don't want to go to school. I want to stay home and bake cookies with you.
Yeah, that's what it was.
That's messed up, man. I can't believe you would say that.
Chance of rain here in Seattle. Shocker. Yeah, light rain, but yeah, potentially getting some rain here. 50% chance of rain. So that's something to monitor.
Kenneth Walker's still out.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker looking doubtful is what they officially have him listed at.
We saw Charbonnet take on a decent workload. I just don't know what he did with it. I had him, but he rushed for 14 times, 38 yards, and a touchdown. 5 receptions, though, for 31 yards.
Interesting. At 6,000, it's less interesting.
Yeah.
But, yeah, if you land there or something,
He's
maybe.
the full, I mean, if Walker's out.
Right.
What did the other back do? That would be the only question. Like, it's that same, he's not as cheap, but are you going to get that full workload? Yeah, I don't see any of the other backs that did anything.
Yeah. Kind of torn on that one. Not sure. DK Metcalf got bumped up to 6,300. That's still not like outrageous.
He should have never been in the 5s. I don't care about that first game, but
yeah, I agree. I think maybe the interesting thing from this game to keep an eye on is the running back situation. You got Mustard.
Mm-hmm. He was at practice.
Was at practice.
Yep.
That's interesting. And then Wilson.
It said he avoided major health.
He's
injury.
probably out. He's going to be out, I'm sure. So
A-chain.
Yeah, probably A-chain. The price difference to Mozart's not enough. 5,700 is still pretty steep. We've already gone over running backs that are going to be getting majority of the work that are less than that price. So probably I'm going to have to deep dive this one and really look into it. But, I mean, off the top of my head, just kind of looking at the numbers and everything, this might just not be a spot for me.
Yeah, I don't love this game.
I think that guys are kind of priced up, and
it's priced like
we're talking potentially rain. It's going to be a huge
priced
deal.
like a fully healthy, both teams fully healthy and like high scoring, and I just don't see it going that direction. So
yeah, I don't either, especially if there's rain. I guess, monitor the weather on that one. That would be my advice about that one. Just monitor the weather, because any chance of rain here, I'm fully out. There's nothing for me.
All right. Speaking of low scoring games, we got Carolina at Las Vegas for the next game.
Vegas favored by 5, and the total sitting at 40. We got to figure out.
Bryce Young's getting benched.
Yeah. We got the Red Rocket coming in, right?
Red Rocket, Red Rifle.
Red Rifle. The old Red Rocket.
Not the Red Rocket, man.
The Raiders, get the win over the Ravens. The Ravens are now 0-2. That eliminated like 6 more people in Survivor. Let's dive into it.
It's just the start of my Baltimore letdown season prediction.
Minshew Mania, 30 for 38, 276, touchdown and a pick. They could not run the damn ball. Holy crap. 17 carries for 27 yards.
Yeah.
Devontae, 12 targets. I'll tell you what, Brock Bowers is starting to look like a really good pick. If you picked him in like dynasty fantasy football, 9 catches, 98 yards. That's back-to-back pretty solid games for that dude. He apparently is legit. I mean, I don't want to fully say he's the man now, but fully legit. As far as the tight ends and receivers go, oh, nope, never mind. Hold on. I was starting to go on the other side. Brock Bowers, 5,400 is a potential play for me. I mean, we're talking 8 targets and then 9 targets against a not so good Panthers team. That's a pretty cheap price tag for somebody that has the potential to go off. Still not sure what this Raiders backfield is.
Don't they have White in the backfield?
Yeah, they got like 3 guys, which means you have no guys.
Madison, White, and who's the other one?
Abdullah. White got 9 carries, 24 yards. That's pretty terrible. Madison got 4 carries for 1 yard. I think I could have done that.
Did he score?
Yes. He had 1 yard and a tutty.
What the hell? That's crazy.
Abdullah, 2 carries, 1 yard. Maybe I'll have to look into that more. Madison has hawked 2 touchdowns now on the season, when he really probably doesn't deserve it. And White has not had a touchdown yet. Bold prediction of the week. You ready?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Zamir White, anytime touchdown against the Carolina Panthers. Roll the clip.
That feels too easy.
I
feel like that's gonna hit.
He hasn't scored this year though.
I feel like it's gonna hit. So I know, but
I wonder what the number is on that. I mean, I feel like it's probably something maybe plus odds.
Yeah.
Just because he hasn't scored a touchdown yet.
Well, it's definitely plus odds. I'll pull it up.
All right.
You keep going.
Devontae Adams getting a lot of work. Brock Bowers getting a lot of work. That would probably be the only look for me. Might just play White solo. I could play White solo at 5,500
plus 110 anytime touchdown scorer.
Ding.
On DK.
Love it. As far as the Panthers side goes, I just don't. Unless you think Andy Dalton, the old Red Rocket, is going to come in here and just really open up this offense, then maybe there's some
you think
receiver
the Red
potential?
Rocket's going to get in there and open it up?
Open it up.
You think Andy Red Rocket Dalton is going to create the penetration?
Maybe. The problem is, who's their receiver?
Adam Thielen, who's getting so pissed.
2 catches for 20 yards.
Well, let me tell you something.
3 targets.
One of them, he should have had a 4th target, and he had his defender beat by 7 yards and was just completely left alone. Like, didn't even look his way. So
maybe it's Deontay Johnson.
I just don't have anything for it.
6 targets in
I like the Zamir.
games.
I like the Zamir White call, and outside of that, I got nothing for this game.
Yeah. Unless you think that this offense is going to just get magically opened up, and all of a sudden the Panthers are going to be better. Potentially a pretty cheap stack. How cheap How cheap is he?
Who?
Dalton. Let's
Probably-
find out.
Probably 5,300.
4,800.
Mm.
I mean,
God, look at that hair.
he's got gray hair. Yeah, I mean, 4,800. I mean, man, that's
It's
pretty
worth
damn cheap.
It's worth a dice roll, maybe.
That's pretty cheap.
Dalton Deontay.
Yeah, I mean, 4,900 on Deontay, 5,000 on Thielen.
You can spend up if there's places to spend up outside of that. Like if Jefferson's in, who's the most expensive running back?
What a weird Leggett out of South Carolina. Game 1 got 7 targets, and then Game 2 got 0 targets. That's weird. 4 catches, 35 yards, 7 targets Game 1, and then zeros across the board Game 2. I'd have to look into
it's because the O-line's bad. I think that's part of the problem with going for Dalton here. The O-line is actually bad.
Well, I'm sure that's why Deontay Johnson has had 6 targets back-to-back games. I'm sure it's snap it, sling it.
Yeah.
Just get it out of his hand, get it somewhere. Yeah.
I don't know. If we're going off of our typical, like...
It's a super high-risk play going Panthers with Andy Dalton. But if nothing else, if you have a like really expensive play that you're like, I got to get to this weird, expensive double wide receiver in a different game, or maybe you're like fully in love with Saquon and Kamara, who are both super expensive, then maybe this is your cheap option and your way to get to it. But other than that, it's tough play. It's a very high risk play.
All right, let's keep it rolling. We got Baltimore at Dallas. Baltimore coming off the loss. Dallas coming off the loss.
Yeah, Dallas at home here, which is normally great. Ravens are favored by 1, and the total is sitting at 48.5. I think this is going to be a problem for my Cowboys. I don't think that the Ravens can continue to lose. I just don't see the Ravens going 0-3. I could definitely see the Cowboys being 1-2. You know, like I talked about at the beginning, like episode 1 of our NFL stuff, I think the Cowboys are a 500 football team. I think they'll beat up on some of the bad teams that are in their division. I think the Ravens are I think that they're better than they've shown. They've really had that game against the Raiders in hand for most of the game. Derrick Henry is, I don't want to say he's washed, but he's not great. I think Lamar is still great. I think Zay Flowers is great. You know, they're kind of trying to figure out their tight end situation with Likely and Andrews kind of splitting time. The Cowboys scare me. The defense scares me. You know, the Cowboys for me are one of those teams kind of similar to the Colts that are just going to be really up and down.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Lamar potentially gives us problems. What do you think?
Honestly, I could see it going either way. Like I said, I had the prediction that the Ravens were going to be a letdown. I think maybe the Cowboys.
I won't bet this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it, and I won't be touching it because I have no clue.
Yeah,
but I could see so many different results, and for that reason, I'm out. It's like
But DFS wise, you maybe should be in, and you just have to bite the bullet and pick a side.
Yeah, I think there's room.
There is potential here for a track meet. I mean, we're looking at a total here 48.5. It's one of the highest totals of the week.
I would side with the Ravens because it's the cheaper option.
Okay.
As far as the pieces, like once you go Lamar, your pieces on the Ravens side I think are cheaper because you can't go to CD at 8,800, and I mean you can, but
this is a game that I potentially, even though I don't know who's going to win the football game, I could see myself using a lot of pieces from this game.
Yeah.
Like you could, I mean, Dak is down to 6,600. If you think game script wise that the Ravens win this football game, which is what I think, then you could potentially run that back and say, okay, now the Cowboys are going to be passing. This last game where the Cowboys got down to the Saints, that was almost like perfect game theory if you had Dak and CD, but Dak just continued to be bad the entire game. He threw pick after pick.
Right.
So if the Cowboys are playing from behind, Dak CD could actually potentially be the stack from a losing perspective if they get down in the game and they have to just the entire game pass it. That might be potentially how I lean it. I could go, maybe Zay Flowers, or maybe, even though I don't think he's very good, go with the running back from the Ravens. But I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm gonna have to do some more research on that. Maybe I go Henry, but then I go Dak, CD, maybe likely. Where do they have these guys priced at? That's interesting pricing as far as the tight end
CD's
go.
8,800, like I said.
Yeah, I'm curious about Andrews and likely. Yeah, they have them almost twinsies, 4,800 and 4,700 as far as tight end goes. Ferguson.
More targets for Andrews.
Ferguson might be back for the Cowboys. Listed as questionable.
Limited at practice today.
Yep, that was a good game. Good pick for old Schoonmaker. 6 receptions, 43 yards. He was like 2,000 something. I did have him a couple times because Ferguson was being out. Yeah, I don't know. Also, potential defense game. If you think that Dak is going to have back-to-back games where he's losing and having to play from behind and chucking it a bunch, maybe Ravens D. Something to consider. You got to have to pick a defense from one of these games that you think is a higher total where a team's going to be passing it from behind. Wouldn't mind Ravens D. Wouldn't mind Eagles D. Just going through now because we didn't talk about defense much. Texans D. Texans, Eagles, Ravens, Lions.
Yeah.
Those are my top couple.
I like the Texans call there.
Yeah, I think those make sense. That
Like
teams
Darnold can only do so much before he has one of those games.
Exactly. At some point, and the Kyler train, we'll get to that game here in a second, but the Kyler train's pretty high right now. Guys are like, man, this dude looks legit. Obviously, Lions off a letdown, but yeah. As far as Ravens Cowboys, I think Ravens win the game. Not confident enough to bet it though, especially because it's a Cowboys game. I try not to bet them this year. That's kind of my plan. Yeah.
All right. San Francisco at the Rams.
49ers coming off of a loss to the Vikings. They are favored by 7.5, even though this is in LA. The total sitting at 44.5. Looks like McCaffrey is still going to be out. Obviously, he's on IR, so he'll be out for a couple more weeks here. So you're getting Mason at 6,200. It's not enough, folks. It's not enough. You got to play him again. You have to. He's putting up big time numbers, and they have not priced him up to a spot, especially in this specific game where the total is pretty, it's high enough again. The Rams are absolutely depleted. For sure, go back to Mason again. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but 6,200 is not enough for a guy who's had over 20 fantasy points back-to-back games. He's averaging 24 carries a game, back-to-back over 100-yard rushing games. The workload is there.
Yeah, I like it.
I don't think that's enough. I don't think 6,200 is enough for a guy that's been putting up the numbers that he has.
You're not pricing him like another...
You're not pricing him like a starting running back on the 49ers, which obviously McCaffrey's through the roof, but I'm not saying he's McCaffrey. McCaffrey in this pricing, they have him at 8,500. Well, Mason's in his spot and he's seeing all of his work and he's proved to be a serviceable running back. He should at least be in the 7,000s.
Yeah.
But he's not. So I will definitely go back to that. Dome game, nothing to worry about there. Injury-wise, a ton to look at. Cup goes down after they already had Nakua out. Let's see if they've got him listed officially. Hold on. I think he's doubtful already. I think he's like already. Yeah, he's listed as doubtful.
They aren't sure if they're going to place him on IR.
So he ain't playing.
Yeah.
He ain't playing. Yeah, that means that they're like, hey, do we go ahead and sit this guy for 4 weeks or What do we do? On the other side of the ball, you got Debo sitting at doubtful. Won't practice Wednesday. Man, we'll see. I mean, this could be another game to target. Man, if Kupp and Nakua are out, you really got to start looking at these receivers for the Rams.
Yeah, I think that's
and figure out who's going to get the rock.
That's the piece of that cheap portion.
Yeah, who's getting the rock? I already like Mason. Yeah, who's getting the rock? And then even on the 49ers side, if Debo's out, I think it could be a big Ayuk game or a big Kittle game. Kittle ended up having 7 catches, touchdown, 76 yards. Ayuk hasn't had that like big time game yet, has he?
Yeah, no,
he could be sitting on one.
8.3 points, 4.8 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
it's a good buy low spot here. I mean, they don't have him priced down like a ton, but 6,200 is very fair.
Yeah, that's enough. Yeah, for a ceiling play. Yeah, Ayuk for sure. If Ayuk or if Debo's out, you need to play Ayuk. You need to play Mason regardless. Kittle potentially 5,700. That's not exactly through the roof pricing. And then you really need to look into who's going to get the rock for the Rams.
There's too many. Like, it's a guessing game. You got Robinson, Atwell. It's a lot of, and then that Tyler Johnson. Yeah, it's. I'd rather go the San Francisco side. If you want to stuff one of them in there and just kind of pick one and go for it, but it really is a toss up between 3 different guys there.
It's tough, man.
I would say maybe tight end.
Parkinson tight end, 3,600. Pretty low risk play.
He was on the field a lot, but he was blocking a lot. He didn't go out. He didn't run a ton of routes.
Maybe they just really feed the hell out of it to Kyron Williams. I know he's priced up, but maybe he just sees a ton of work. He caught 4 passes, 5 targets. He scored a touchdown in both games so far. Potentially somebody's getting this work. Somebody is gonna pick up the slack here. I'll have to look into who's getting the field time because that's a big piece of it. But man, Corum finally saw some work. He's a running back out of Michigan, who was drafted by the Rams. He had 8 carries for 28 yards. They were getting waxed, so that's probably why he got in the game. But maybe that's a play on Kyron Williams. Like, if you don't think that Kyron Williams' 15 fantasy points were that impressive and we're sitting on a $7,100 price tag, also one of those fishy things. So he's had pretty back-to-back games at 6,800, and now he went up to 7,100. What does DraftKings know that we don't? Kyron Williams, anytime touchdown.
Has he scored? He scored in both games.
Yeah, he scored in both games. But I'm just saying, I feel like he might get a ton of work.
Yeah.
I don't know who do they trust is kind of the question. And beyond Kyron Williams, it's probably nobody.
Yeah.
So potentially a lot of passes getting caught out of the backfield, especially if they're losing, which I do believe they will be losing. I like Ayuk if Debo's out, or not both, or Kittle. And then I like Mason, potentially run it back with Kyron Williams.
Okay.
Or Parkinson as well as a potential cheap play.
All right. We got Detroit at Arizona next. We got 4 more games to go, and we got to kick it into gear here.
Yeah, we got Dan Campbell, part-time Applebee's waiter, and just a real shit coach. 3-point favorites right now are the Cardinals in Arizona. Total sitting at 51.5. Real track meet like numbers. Call me a sucker. Call me an idiot. I'm going back to the Lions. I think that Goff with potentially Amon-Ra if he's playing, that would be a good stack. He practiced fully today, which is good.
This could be the shootout we were looking for last week.
Yeah. Laporta too, off a couple of disappointing games. Still priced up a bit, but Laporta's an option. And then Lions D, like I mentioned, I think Lions D here, if the Cardinals are playing from behind, Kyler chucking it, maybe a little interception action. We already know that the Lions D can get after you, after the quarterback a little bit. So, yeah, for me, it's Lions D and potentially a Goff with Amon-Ra, Laporta stack, run it back on the other side with your choice, dealer's choice on the Cardinals if you want.
I force-fed Marvin Harrison last game, but
which we kind of thought might happen.
Yeah.
And it did. But you still have Dort sitting there, Connor out of the backfield, kind of a coin flip.
McBride, tight end, that wouldn't be bad either.
McBride, you got to just maybe pick one or two and roll the dice that you nail it.
All right, I actually like that game a lot. Like I said, I think that could be the shootout we were expecting from Detroit last week.
Do you like Detroit or you like the Arizona side?
I like Detroit.
Okay.
So, all right, we got Kansas City at Atlanta.
Chiefs favored by 3.5. Total sitting at 46.5. Falcons come off a shocking win against the Eagles. The Fighting Kirk Cousins. Chiefs, Kelsey coming off of just doing nothing. You like Kelsey this week?
We've been early on guys, so maybe simply because of that, but I don't like it. Patrick
Mahomes had a pretty terrible game, honestly, against the Bengals. 18 for 25, 151 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Pacheco looks like he's toast. So interesting.
Yeah, broken fibula, right?
Yeah, he's in trouble.
They got Steele. Is that their backup?
This is the Sunday night game?
I don't think it's the night game.
Why am I not seeing it?
Sunday. Oh, wait, yeah, it is. I keep forgetting that time is.
Yeah. Let me go to the cap. Let me go to the showdown. Oh, it's not up yet. Damn it.
They don't have pricing out?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
No pricing yet for the Sunday night game. Yeah, keep an eye out for that. Running back wise, Carson Steele got 7 carries for 24 yards. And they have Pirine, who I think might be the guy. I don't know why they've kind of he came into the team late, and there's no way in my head
he's pretty good.
Exactly. There's no way in my head that he doesn't see the same amount of work that this Carson Steele guy sees. Now, apparently news out of the Chiefs was that Carson Steele was amazing in training camp and he was such a great guy and he's tough as nails and everything. But you brought in Pirine for a reason.
Right.
I got to believe worst case scenario, this is 50-50. So keep an eye out for the pricing. If Carson Steele is priced like twice as much as Pirine, pick Pirine. Because I feel like at the end of the day, they're probably going to see the same amount of work. But I do think Pirine sees a boost in touches.
Samaje Pirine. Anytime touchdown. Book it. Roll the clip. That's it. That's the show.
Yeah. Kelsey, I'm just trying to think of like showdown work here. Kelsey's been just nothing. 3 targets, 1 catch, 5 yards.
You can keep betting on him if you like. I'm going to not touch it. If Kelsey beats me, he beats me.
I wonder how much. That's probably why pricing hasn't come out. They're trying to figure out how to price Kelsey. Yeah. If he's still like crazy priced, then yeah, I wouldn't. But Rashee Rice is going to continue to get targets. He had 5 catches, 75 yards, and a touchdown, 6 targets. As far as the Falcons side goes, Drake London, don't touch him. He got a lucky touchdown late in that game.
Super lucky, super late.
He's actually not that good. Like watching that entire game, I know the Falcons won. Yeah, he's just not very good. He had 7 targets, 6 catches, 54 yards, and a touchdown. Yeah, I don't really like the Falcons side in this game. I think that the Chiefs like show up and probably dominate them. Although I will say Bijan Robinson is the real deal.
Yeah.
Every time I see that dude, I'm like, damn, that guy is a legit running back. He is legit. Maybe look for him to catch some balls out of the backfield. He had 4 catches, 5 targets against Philly, and they were playing from behind for most of the game. So that'd probably be my run back. Give me P. Ryan, Mahomes, maybe Rice, maybe Kelsey. Run it back with Bijan. Do not play Kirk Cousins. Do not play Drake London. There you go.
All right. I like it. We got a kind of a special doubleheader on Monday, so we're going to do a separate video for that. So that is where we're going to cap this one at. That's all the Sunday games.
I'm excited. I'm ready for a good DraftKings Sunday slate. I haven't had a good Sunday yet, DraftKings wise. I've had an okay one and a not so great one. I'm looking for. If you're not hot, you're due.
Yeah, you said okay and not great. I've had an okay and a pretty terrible one. So I think if you just reverse negative, I'm going to win $15K this week.
Well, I look forward to seeing that.
All right, guys, we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you next time.